Hola, my name is Terry Ybañez, and I'm an artist, educator, and community activist. And today, this is Una Plática. I was inspired to become an artist at a really young age by my uncle Arturo Reina and my aunt Helen Reyes. Both of them were very creative people. My tia was into graphic design at Burbank High School when I was a little girl, and she would always create drawings and did more graphic design. My uncle Arturo was a hairstylist, but he also did clay work, and he went to Brackenridge High School, and he was also in cosmetology, and he inspired me to create art. But it was kind of interesting because really neither one said, you know, what do you want to be, or asked me what I wanted to be. It was just through my observations of their work. When I was 5 years old, I remember my uncle Arturo putting a tent in the front yard of my grandmother's house on Noria Street in the west side. And only the boys were allowed to go in to paint and draw. And we, the girls, had to wait for them to get out so we could go in and paint and draw. But that action just inspired me to see my creative side. I also had a teacher, an art teacher at Storm Elementary, Mrs. Salinas, who really nurtured my own creative endeavors when I was a child. But from the time I was 5 years old, I knew I wanted to be an artist. I saw my uncles and my aunt and my art teacher do work creatively that I thought, you know, I could do that. I want to be that. So those are my inspirations. I do consider myself a Chicana artist, but that identification of myself came while I was a senior at Trinity University. I graduated with a bachelor degree in studio art and printmaking and painting. And I was introduced to some of the Consafos group, Ellen Riojas Clark, Cesar Martinez, Carlos Guerra, when I was a senior at Trinity. And the whole idea of Chicanismo came through this awakening because I met these people, these Chicanos that were so important in the movimiento, that they kind of re-educated me for identifying myself not just as a Mexican American, but as a conscious Mexican American, someone who values and knows both their histories of being from ancestors from Mexico and being a Tejana and being an American, and that melding and pride of being from two cultures. So it came late in my life, and it was like a fire for me because it was through them that I started investigating artists from Mexico. And at that time, I had just been, it was very Eurocentric education that I had received in college and in high school. So it was just this incredible awakening, incredible fire of learning about myself through my culture and being very proud, orgullosa de mi cultura. That I was kind of amazed and kind of perturbed that I wasn't introduced to it in a college that I was spending a lot of money in. But it didn't matter. I learned it. I learned about myself. And I really appreciate the work. Not the work. It wasn't work. It was the social awareness that those people from the Chicano movimiento, the early movimiento, that they shared with me and gifted to me. Because it really did solidify my identity as a Chicana. And I'm very proud of being able to call myself a Chicana artist. And not say, you know, I'm just an artist. So I was introduced to Centro Cultural Aztlan when Ramon Sanchez Vasquez was the director, and he had it. The first time I went, it was still at Las Palmas, and that was in the 80s. And I was just amazed with, because there was nothing like that in San Antonio, other than the Guadalupe Cultural Arts Center. A gallery that focused on Chicano artists was non-existent. And at that time in the 80s, artists were not shown. Latino, Chicano artists were not shown in any of the big museums or galleries here in San Antonio. Our art to those institutions did not qualify in their criteria of being represented in their museums or their gallery spaces. So Centro Cultural Aztlan was one of the first, if not the first, to have a gallery space that celebrated the Chicano artists, Native American artists, cultural ceremonies, cultural experiences like the Dia de los Muertos and the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, and La Virgen de Guadalupe, the celebration of La Virgen de Guadalupe, which is very important in Chicano beliefs and celebrations and spirituality. So I believe that Centro Cultural Aztlan solidified and gave the, I don't know, what do you call it? Kind of a certification that the art was valuable. And through that, I think that they inspired other spaces to look at Chicano art and Latino art and Native American art with different eyes. So yes, places like Centro Cultural Aztlan are incredibly important for our community. Well, I've been teaching art since I was 15 years old. I started at the Southwest School of Arts and Crafts. I would work at their Saturday morning discovery, and we would make piñatas and masks, paper mache. I do a lot of paper mache art. I love doing it. I've been teaching a long time. I just retired from teaching at Brackenridge, just retired from Brackenridge High School and was teaching high school advanced art classes. And I had incredible students, beautiful students. Well, what I advise my art students, my advanced art students that are going to go to college, double major. Major in art, it's your passion, do it. But have something else to fall back on that you can get a job in. So I suggest to them that they take, if all they want to focus in is art, that they take computer graphics, they learn technology. Get another degree in technology. Or get a degree in education, in art education, or get another degree, but double major, so that you have a backup. Because I majored just in studio art, and I thought it was going to be really easy, but you don't get trained in the business of, there's no classes like, this is how you run your art business. There's nothing. You have to do it kind of blindly, or intern with an artist that is already running their studio. And you intern with them and you learn, how do I do my bookkeeping? How do I relate my price to, so that I can have a living and pay for my rent? How do I do all these things to have a business? And so one is double major. Two, intern with somebody who already has a business in the art business, so that you can learn how to run a business. And if it's your passion, you have to continue doing it. I have many students, one in particular that graduated from Notre Dame, but he graduated in computer science, in technology. But when he was at Notre Dame, he was from a single parent home, his mother and him, just him. And he got a full ride to Notre Dame. But he called me the first week he was there, and he says, Ms. Ybañez, guess how I'm making money? Guess how I'm making my money so I could go out with my friends or buy a new pair of tennies or go out to dinner. I said, you're selling your art. He says, I'm doing my charcoal portraits. He was amazing with charcoal portraits. He says, and I'm charging $100 to $300 depending on the size. And I've got all these orders, and that's my spending money. And then he calls me when I went to his graduation. He says, I'm the only one in my class that got a job. Out of 20 people that had graduated in his department, he was the only one that got a job. He says, you know why I got that job? Because I did a really creative presentation. He says, and that was because I took art. I took art, and everything I learned about composition and about contrasts and about creativity, I used it in my presentation.